We, the jury, find the defendant Daniel Villegas not guilty of
cold-blooded murder. Cold-blooded murder, young man. You are dangerous. You are unpredictable.
Mr. Rhodes, you're smiling. I don't know why you're smiling.
Because I can. It's not a crime to smile.
I would suggest you do what helps you, not what hurts you.
Okay.
That's
do what I
all.
want to do.
I don't know if y'all got some type of sexual relationship going on. Are you some type of racist? Which one is it?
Or are you just wrong in everything that you've made a motion for?
Are you a secret Ku Klux Klan member?
This is Susan Mellon. She received a life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole due to false testimony. Susan was 42 years old when she was arrested in Los Angeles, California, while taking her daughter to McDonald's for a Happy Meal. Little did she know that it would be the last time she would see her child for 7 years, as she was accused and charged with the murder of her ex-boyfriend.
You are under arrest now for murder.
Please believe me, I wouldn't.
Mellon's conviction rested entirely on the testimony of an informant who alleged that Mellon had confessed to the murder. She spent a grueling 17 years behind bars until it was revealed that the informant was a habitual liar and an unreliable witness. Finally, after all this time, Mellon's case has been overturned, bringing a sense of justice to her long-awaited vindication.
The judgment is vacated, the conviction is overturned, and as to Ms. Mellon, the case is dismissed.
From going through moments of tears to experiencing overwhelming joy, when Mellon was released, she took her daughter to McDonald's to finally enjoy the long-awaited Happy Meal together. As a form of compensation, the state of California granted Mellon $597,000, and it has been reported that the Los Angeles City Council agreed to pay an additional $12 million to Susan Mellon. This is Michael Swanson, who, at the age of 17, embarked on a violent rampage, taking the lives of 2 gas station attendants in Iowa within the span of just 1 hour.
Where did you shoot? On the body? Yeah. And in the face? In the face? Okay. Why the face?
I thought I was just gonna shoot to injure her. Why would I shoot her at all?
Swanson, wearing a ski mask and armed with a handgun, entered a gas station in Algona, Iowa. There, he demanded money and cigarettes from Vicki Bowman Hall, a 47-year-old attendant. Despite complying with his demands, Swanson callously shot and killed her. Just an hour later, in Humboldt, Iowa, Swanson committed a similar crime at another gas station, ending the life of Sheila Myers. Authorities apprehended Swanson approximately 60 miles away from the second shooting after identifying his vehicle. The fact that both victims followed his instructions but were still tragically killed indicated that Swanson's primary intention was to commit murder.
How did it feel when you pulled the trigger? I mean, some people say that, it feels powerful or that it's kind of a rush, or what did you feel when you pulled the trigger?
I felt powerful.
Swanson faced charges of 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of burglary. When it came to determining Swanson's motives, the answers primarily came from Swanson himself during the investigation and subsequent legal proceedings.
I then intentionally, deliberately, and with premeditation shot the clerk, causing her to die. I did this with a specific intent to kill her.
As one of the victim's daughters delivers her victim impact statement, Swanson remains seated, displaying a complete absence of emotion.
How could you do what you did to my mom and my family? I want to know if you're even sorry. Are you sorry for what you did? My mom was not only completely 100% innocent, but she was also a defenseless woman when you came in with that gun. You said you did it for cigarettes and money and so no one could identify you, but I think that's a lie. You did it, as you later said on, that it was so you could feel powerful.
During Swanson's sentencing, a disturbing display occurred as he smiled and laughed, showing a complete lack of remorse or empathy for his actions.
Cold-blooded murder. Cold-blooded murder, young man. You are dangerous. You are unpredictable. Prison for the rest of your life.
Swanson received 2 life sentences for his crimes. However, 4 years into his sentence, he committed a gruesome act by slitting the throat of another inmate. This is Jeremy Christian, a person who was proven guilty of killing 2 individuals in Portland, Oregon. Christian was on a crowded train when he unexpectedly started expressing racist views directed at two young women. Bystanders can be seen intervening in an effort to halt Christian's behavior. Sadly, the situation became more intense, leading to Christian fatally stabbing two individuals and inflicting severe injuries on a third person. There is visual evidence of Christian fleeing from the location where the crime took place. Concerned passengers on the train pursued him, and law enforcement managed to apprehend him approximately 1 mile away. Christian can be seen in the back of a police car during the arrest.
I'm happy as a motherfucker. Hopefully this motherfucker dies.
Following the legal proceedings, Christian was ultimately convicted of 2 charges of murder and 1 charge of attempted murder. During the sentencing phase, a victim who was directly affected by the crimes delivered a statement expressing the impact of the incident on their life. It was during this moment that Christian had an emotional outburst, interrupting the proceedings.
To Mr. Jeremy Christian, your mom should have swallowed you. You are a waste of breath. And when you die and go to hell, I hope you rot.
See you there. You ain't gonna be there either. You ain't gonna be there either. My whole city. George Floyd. George Floyd. I should've. Everybody knows you're a liar. Everybody knows you're a liar.
Once Christian was escorted out of the courtroom due to his disruptive behavior, the judge proceeded to deliver the sentence. Taking into account his multiple convictions, the judge sentenced him to 2 consecutive life terms in prison, along with an additional term of over 25 years for his other offenses. This is Danta Wright, a 17-year-old who fatally shot a student from Pioneer High School in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Wright, along with 2 others, assaulted the 18-year-old student with the intention of robbing him. During the altercation, the victim fought back, but tragically, he was shot in the head. Wright and his accomplices left the victim's body on a pathway, where it was later discovered by a maintenance worker. The authorities apprehended the boys shortly after the incident and took them into custody. Initially, a pre-trial hearing was scheduled for Wright, but instead, he decided to confess to the crime as part of a plea deal.
Did you in fact rob Jordan Fleet?
Yeah.
And did you use a gun to place him in fear in order to take his property?
Yeah.
And as a result of that armed robbery, what did you do with that gun and Mr. Jordan Fleet?
Shot him.
And where did you shoot him?
Top. Was it?
And did you kill him with that shot?
During the sentencing phase, the family of the victim takes the opportunity to share a victim impact statement.
Your Honor, my name is Courtney Clay, and I'm Karen's cousin. She's asked me to read this on her behalf. I've lost my only child, my son, my baby, my friend. More than that, I've lost laughter and love. I no longer have the hope of having grandchildren. I've lost the enjoyment of holidays and birthdays and of everyday life. There will never be an answer good enough to satisfy why you shot my son.
Wright can be seen smirking and appearing to display no remorse.
Prison cell, but have also created an empty cell that I live in every day. While you can still hope to be released one day, I'll never escape my hell. You are still alive, but Jordan has no future.
Now it's Wright's turn to speak to the court and address his actions.
Hey y'all, I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon, I love my family.
And now the judge warns that the plea deal may be invalidated or dismissed.
Watching you sit there and smile and laugh and shake your head like this was no big deal, I'm very tempted to just say, I'm not going to accept this sentence agreement. We'll go to trial. And if you're convicted of felony murder, you'll go to prison for the rest of your life. That means you'll die there. That's what I'm tempted to do.
After a recess that lasted for an hour, the judge and prosecution ultimately agreed to accept the plea deal. As it stands, he is now facing a prison sentence ranging from 25 to 52 years. This is Nico Jenkins, who was found guilty of committing 4 murders during a 10-day killing spree in Omaha, Nebraska. At the age of 15, Jenkins was sent to a youth correctional facility where he served a 10-year prison sentence for carjacking and assault. However, only a month after his release, Jenkins robbed and fatally shot 2 individuals. 8 days later, he targeted and killed a former inmate whom he had previously met in prison, shooting him in his own garage. 2 days after that, Jenkins claimed his 4th victim during a carjacking incident. Although Jenkins was initially arrested on unrelated charges, The police were able to link him to one of the killings through the ammunition used in the crime.
Shot and killed in his own garage. 2 days after that, Jenkins killed his fourth victim in a carjacking. Jenkins was arrested for unrelated charges, but it was here that cops were able to pin the ammo used in one of the killings to Jenkins.
Do you not realize I got Nico Jenkins? Do you not realize that? I got Nico Jenkins. I got you.
What do you mean you got me?
I got your DNA at the murder scene. I got your DNA in the car.
Sir.
I got the weapon. I got Nico Jenkins.
Jenkins entered a plea of no contest to 4 charges of first-degree murder. In addition, he voluntarily gave up his right to a jury trial, which means that a panel of 3 judges will determine whether he is innocent or guilty.
Each one of these murders was a deliberate and planned act. The victims were pre-selected and the murders were purposeful.
After Jenkins is convicted of all 4 murders, he remains seated without much movement, awaiting the pronouncement of his sentence.
Therefore, this panel finds that the death penalty is appropriate, should be, and is hereby given for each of the 4 murders by the defendant.
When Jenkins receives the death sentence, he appears entirely unaffected by it. He is currently held in the Nebraska State Penitentiary, awaiting the execution of his sentence. This is Tanner Jacobson, and standing beside him is Cody Howard, both located in Chehalis, Washington. They are both wearing prisoner uniforms, and their hands are restrained with handcuffs as they appear on the 3rd floor of the Lewis County Courthouse. Jacobson faces charges of reckless driving and driving with a suspended license, while Howard faces charges of second-degree burglary, first-degree trafficking of stolen property, third-degree driving with a suspended license, and 2 warrants for failure to appear in court. Present in the room is Judge R.W. Buzzard, and it appears that there are no deputies present. Then, unexpectedly, Howard and Jacobson decide to make a daring escape. Howard takes off first, followed by Jacobson. A bystander nearby appears to contemplate chasing after the escapees but is held back. Judge Buzzard wastes no time. He swiftly removes his robe and joins the pursuit. Although Howard and Jacobson manage to flee the courtroom, they are still restrained by handcuffs and are wearing sandals. In the stairwell on the 3rd floor, Judge Buzzard closes in on them. With only 1 more floor to go, the chase becomes intense. Jacobson quickly assesses his surroundings, exits through a door, and disappears. However, Howard faces a tougher challenge. Judge Buzzard catches up to him and apprehends him. Jacobson is later apprehended a couple of blocks away.
I only get like 4 blocks and then I stop. Like I just stopped on my own. I'm like, what am I doing right now?
I said, what am I doing? What did I just do? I gotta go with it now. There's nothing, I can't stop right here. There's nothing I could do now. I'm screwed.
We were sitting there on the benches together and he's like, I'm gonna run. It was just a split second decision. I don't even know why I did it. Like I would be out of here if I wouldn't have ran.
Both individuals were charged with second-degree escape. It is reported that Jacobson received a sentence of 1 year and 1 day, while Howard received a sentence of slightly over 3 years of imprisonment. This is Bryce Rhodes, who is currently facing trial for 3 counts of murder in Louisville, Kentucky. Rhodes allegedly initiated his killing spree by mistakenly shooting and killing an innocent man, believing him to be someone else. In the car with the victim were 2 brothers, aged 16 and 14, who witnessed the crime. Shockingly, Rhodes later murdered these teenagers as well, a few weeks after the initial incident.
You close to these kids at all?
They're cool. We play basketball. I'm cool with a lot of people.
Did you hang out with them on a regular basis?
It was cool. Yeah, we hung at different times, you know. I need a lawyer, man, if you're gonna keep all in my face.
The trials involving Rhodes have been prolonged for several years due to his unpredictable behavior. This includes instances where he would blow kisses to individuals present in the courtroom, including the families of the victims. Additionally, Rhodes would make various hand gestures during the proceedings.
Look at me, ma'am! Mr. Rhodes, you're smiling. I don't know why you're smiling.
Because I can. It's not a crime to smile.
I would suggest you do what helps you, not what hurts you.
Okay. Do what I want to do. Let's get that on.
On one occasion, Rhodes had to wear a spit mask because he spat on his own attorney.
Nice cheap shot. You a coward. Nice cheap shot. You a coward.
Now,
in a subsequent court appearance, Rhodes makes peculiar accusations directed at the judge.
I don't know if y'all got some type of sexual relationship going on. Are you some type of racist? Which one is it?
Or are you just wrong in everything that you've made a motion for?
Are you a secret Ku Klux Klan member?
Due to Rhodes's uncontrollable behavior in the courtroom and his dismissal of multiple lawyers, the trial has been significantly prolonged beyond initial expectations. As the trial continues, it is evident that Rhodes will not be released back into society anytime soon. This is Austin Myers and Timothy Mosley, who were both found guilty of the murder of 18-year-old Justin in Waynesville, Ohio. Myers and Mosley targeted Back's residence with the intention of robbing a safe owned by Back's father. Tragically, during the course of the robbery, Back was choked to death using a wire.
The idea of strangling him, that way it would create no mess, pretty much be an easier job to handle. Obviously, Justin was trying to put up a fight, and he wasn't overpowering us.
Justin Back was then brutally stabbed 21 times until he succumbed to his injuries and passed away.
Trying to ask us why, he was pleading to stop and pretty much begging for his life.
During the trial, Mosley testified against Myers in order to secure a plea bargain. Mosley pleaded guilty and received a life sentence in prison. As for Myers, he had his turn on the witness stand, appealing to the jury to spare his life for the sake of his family, with the hope of avoiding a death sentence.
It's for me to die. It's only going to cause more pain and suffering for another family, not me. It won't hurt me. I won't feel anything. It's going to hurt more innocent people.
Now, we have Justin Back's father here to speak.
I'm not going to stand up here and tell you how much I hate you. That is without question. I would just hope that every time you close your eyes at night, you see my son, Justin.
Following the jury's recommendation for the death sentence, this is Myers' final opportunity to make a plea for his life in front of the judge.
I think there's a lot of good things I can do with my life if you allow me to keep my life.
However, the judge remains unconvinced and proceeds to deliver the maximum sentence.
The defendant does not understand how precious life is. Therefore, the sentence of death shall be imposed upon Austin Gregory Myers on the charge of aggravated murder.
With only a slight nod as a reaction, Myers, who was just 19 years old at the time, became the youngest person in Ohio to be sentenced to death row. Currently, he awaits his execution at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution.
There were so many lives destroyed by this, and it was just for nothing. I mean, there was no money in the safe. There was nothing in there. They did this.
This is Antonio Barbo, who, along with his best friend Nathan Pop, committed a heinous crime by brutally murdering his own great-grandmother during an attempted robbery in Sheboygan County, Wisconsin.
We got in, and then I looked to Nate, he nodded, and then I took the first swing.
Okay, and when you say that you took the first swing, is with the hand axe?
The boys, who were both just 13 years old at the time, had planned to surprise his great-grandmother and steal from her. However, when they arrived at the house, she noticed them and invited them in. Tragically, she was then subjected to a brutal attack using a hatchet and a hammer, enduring at least 27 strikes until her life was taken.
Started heading into the living room, falling.
And as she was falling, did you strike her again?
I hit one more time as she was falling.
At any point, did you not have the hand axe during this incident?
Right after that, Nate took it and he used it, the blade side of it.
You said that he took off the sweater. By that, do you mean the sweater that you had given him?
Yes.
Why did he do that?
I think because it was getting in the way.
Getting in the way of what?
Him swinging.
Following the horrendous act, they proceeded to steal $155 in cash, along with some jewelry. In an attempt to divert suspicion from themselves, they stole a car and abandoned it near a nearby bowling alley, hoping to frame another individual for the crime. However, a few days later, both boys were apprehended and taken into custody. Now, in the courtroom, Barbeau is called to the witness stand to provide testimony.
We were gonna try to scare her to get money and then use force if needed.
And when you say use force if needed, was there a discussion about what type of force you might use?
An attack, I guess to kill.
Barbeau entered a plea of no contest to the charge of first-degree intentional homicide as part of a plea agreement. Consequently, he received a life sentence in prison, with the possibility of parole after 36 years, at which point he would be 50 years old. In his closing statement, Barbeau's lawyer had to conclude his remarks on his behalf.
I know I don't show my emotions much. I myself am not sure why, but that doesn't mean I don't.
I took away someone's mother, grandma, sister, friend, when I had no right to do so.
Pop also received a life sentence in prison, but with the possibility of parole when he reaches the age of 45.
Defendant will please stand.
This is the pivotal moment when Villegas will discover whether he will be able to return home to his family or be sent back to prison to serve his life sentence.
The State of Texas versus Daniel Villegas. Verdict Form B. We, the jury, find the defendant Daniel Villegas not guilty of...
Villegas is now released from prison and is a free man.
You are no longer under any conditions. You are free to leave. Thank you.
According to reports, Villegas has filed a lawsuit against the city of El Paso. This is Ryan Stone, a man from Colorado who embarked on a crime spree that stretched across 5 counties and was captured live by a news station's helicopter. Stone was found guilty of carjacking 3 vehicles, one of which had a 4-year-old child inside the SUV. According to authorities, Stone accelerated and initiated a high-speed chase, with speeds surpassing 100 miles per hour, evading the pursuing police officers. If we go back a bit, you can catch a glimpse of Stone's vehicle colliding with a Colorado State Patrol trooper while the trooper was attempting to deploy stop sticks. As a result, the trooper sustained serious injuries. Then, Stone forcibly removed another individual from their vehicle and fled the scene. He swiftly drove into a bustling intersection, initiating a foot chase. He sprinted off the road and made his way between 2 buildings. While maneuvering on the icy ground, he slipped and lost his jacket. The police officers closed in on him, and he eventually surrendered. Stone is currently detained in the county jail. Interestingly, he has expressed the belief that he should receive compensation for his internet notoriety, proudly boasting about the high-speed chase to his acquaintances.
You know, I made the news in the UK and Australia. What? Yeah, you get paid by YouTube. So, Channel 7 News, I believe, is going to be the one that gets paid for that. Well, I'm going to contact Channel 7 News. I want to get paid. You guys aren't getting paid using my name.
When given the chance to speak to the court regarding the recorded conversations from jail, Stone attributes his behavior to emotional stress and drug use.
We are going through trial after that. It was a 1.5-week trial. Extremely stressful. One of the phone calls about seeming like I was bragging about making international news, this, that, and the other. That was within the first week of being arrested. Still coming off of drugs.
Stone was found guilty of 18 charges, which encompassed offenses such as attempted manslaughter, child abuse, and assault. Consequently, the judge issued a sentence of 160 years in prison for Stone. This is Eric Kelly, a man who was wrongly sentenced to life in prison for a robbery and murder in Passaic County, New Jersey. At the age of 28, Kelly was arrested after an individual working at a video store was tragically killed. Kelly himself had endured a severe brain injury, resulting in cognitive impairment and difficulty comprehending information presented by detectives. Allegedly, he confessed to the crime despite being innocent. Despite the absence of any physical evidence, he was convicted and incarcerated. It wasn't until 24 years later that the case was reopened, and significant advancements in DNA testing conclusively established Kelly's absence from the crime scene.
Therefore, in light of the foregoing reasons, the motion for a new trial is hereby granted.
Kelly was granted a new trial, and after nearly 25 years, he finds himself outside of prison. However, despite his newfound freedom, he still harbors a lingering fear that he could be sent back behind bars.
My legal team, I want to thank them. I want to thank my family. Just want to get back to actually living.
In a surprising turn of events, the prosecution ultimately dropped all the remaining charges against Kelly. It is reported that he received a sum of $1 million as compensation from the state. This is Seth Welch and Tatiana Fusari, a farming couple residing in Cedar Springs, Michigan. They have been charged with the murder of their 10-month-old daughter, Mary Welch. According to reports, the couple informed the police that they noticed their baby was emaciated and malnourished, but they chose not to seek medical help due to their religious beliefs and skepticism towards medicine and government. We have the recording of the 911 call made by the father when he discovered his child deceased.
How long ago did you find the child? It's about an hour and a half. I was waiting. I called my lawyer first thing to ask, what's the next thing I could do. So you found the child an hour and a half ago? Yeah. And called your lawyer first, correct? Yes. Okay. When was the last time you had contact with a child? Last night, yesterday afternoon, about 3 p.m. She goes to bed, and, that was that. Okay, so you put her to bed yesterday at 3 p.m.? Yeah, and then this morning at, 10. So you're saying it's normal for your children to sleep from around 3 p.m. till 10 a.m.? Usually about 9:30, yeah. And you said when you found her, she was already believed to be deceased, right? Yes. And that's when you consulted with a lawyer? Yep. Do you believe she was beyond help already? Oh, yeah, she was dead at the door now.
Shortly after, the autopsy results confirmed that the baby's cause of death was severe malnutrition and dehydration, resulting from neglect by the adult caregivers. This revelation marked the moment when they fully grasped the fact that they would be imprisoned for the remainder of their lives.
That you're both charged with what they call felony murder, while in the perpetration or attempted perpetration of child abuse in the first degree, they're alleging that you murdered one Mary Welch. That is a charge called homicide felony murder. It is life without parole. It requires a DNA sample to be taken upon arrest, which is often like a cotton swab or in the inside of your cheek. The second offense that you're both charged with is called child abuse in the first degree, where they're alleging you knowingly or intentionally caused serious physical harm to a child. They're talking about this Mary Welch. It is a felony, possible penalty of up to life imprisonment or any term of years less than life.